Using the wrong music tools for sync licensing is like drawing a Picasso painting with crayons you just got from the dollar store. Most music creators are using the wrong tools and then wondering why they're failing at sync when they first get started. Only not your fault, no one told you. Which is why in this video, I'm gonna give you 5 essential tools that you need in your sync starter pack, so when that big sync deal comes knocking, you'll be ready to land it instead of scrambling around looking for your tools. And the last one's probably the most impactful in my own personal sync career, so make sure you stick around for the last one. So the first thing we need for our conceptually visual work of art that we're gonna make for sync licensing is a canvas. This is what the art is actually going to be displayed upon. In our music world, that canvas is your digital audio workstation, or DAW for short. Think of like one of the better quality DAWs like Ableton with this intuitive interface, robust stock features, or something like Studio One. FL Studio is a really great program. This is normally going to be the software you're going to be composing your musical masterpieces. You wouldn't use a napkin to create a Renaissance painting, so don't compromise on your DAW because it's an investment that will pay itself off literally within the first sync placement you make. The DAW needs to be intuitive to convert your ideas into a song that gets heard by hundreds of millions of people. Now that we have our canvas, we need brushes. These are extremely essential for making a very high quality, expensive sounding track. And those metaphorical brushes are your essential plugins. Using good plugins that help sculpt and shape the sound that you're looking for in order to provide high quality audio processing is extremely important to the texture, depth, and character of your composition, especially if they're built to help make your job easier. Things like Antares, Soundtoys. I also use Output stuff for adding texture to my music, and a few things from Cradle Audio to add that extra pop and sheen. And obviously these can be a bit expensive, but there's also cheaper alternatives. But without these plugins in your tool belt, it would be like trying to paint a sunset with just one brush. You'd be missing the subtle blend of colors and textures without that precise detailing. But what kind of colors are you using? Are you using cheap pastels, or are you using rich, vibrant ones? Which leads me to my next thing, which is high quality samples. We're not talking about loops, we're talking about sample libraries. For many producers, in order for your music to sound as expensive as possible, you need to make sure that you're using samples or recordings of real life instruments, whether that be recording each individual instrument yourself, if you have the time, do it. Or using a platform like Contact or Sign, where they've actually recorded all of the different sounds that one instrument does as far as articulations, textures, volume, and other nuances to give that authenticity that your track may need. The more high quality samples that you have, normally the more expensive the library actually is. But again, they pay themselves off with one sync placement. Make sure your samples complement the style and genre of what you're making. Also, while we're talking about high quality samples, if you're liking this high quality content, make sure you like and subscribe. Let me know what else you want to learn about sync licensing or music production. I am here to help. Now that we're painting and we've got our canvas and it's starting to look pretty decent, now it's time to label our masterpiece. Some of the tools that you actually need don't even have anything to do with the DAW. You know the little label at the bottom of the painting that shows who actually wrote this song? That's what we're going to talk about next, which is metadata. If you don't have the proper metadata inside your song, even if a music supervisor just so happens to stumble across it, if they like it, they don't have the information to contact you in order to get your permission to land the sync placement in the first place.
Stupid, I'm not gonna let you get the chance.
This is a $20,000 mistake I've actually seen in real life. You don't want this to happen. So using software to embed that metadata, whether that be your contact information, style, instruments that are included in the song, the BPM, all this important information can be used in software like Meta or even Disco to help you manage your catalog and help your masterpiece be identified in a sea of other tracks in a music supervisor's catalog. Which leads me to my last most important thing, again, that doesn't have to do too much with music creation, but is essential if you want to start succeeding in sync licensing, and that's very good organizational and backup solutions. Try imagining a really messy art studio. You'd probably end up spending more time looking for your brushes, waiting for them to load in your DAW, than the time it takes to actually create the music in the first place. Similarly, organization in music production is key. So having a clear, systematic way to find your plugins, find the right samples that you want, have them preloaded in a template for a specific genre that you're going to make is going to make you so much faster. And then, Lord forbid, your session has been corrupted for some odd reason. You have a way to make sure that all the elements that you had in that session are saved, whether that be on a backup hard drive in a cloud-based server system like Backblaze, for instance. Not sponsored by any of these people, by the way. These are just the tools I like to use. But the link in the description gives you a couple different discounts. Over time, you get better using these tools, making them more effective to make music at a higher standard of quality at a higher rate, which could lead to higher income in sync licensing. So equip yourself with these tools, take a deep breath, and dive into the canvas to create your next sync banger. But having the right tools is only half the battle. If you want to learn what computer specs are best optimized for sync, check this video out here. We run through all of them.